My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voice of Wrestling Network.
Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Collins, and I am the host of the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, a show right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. On the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, we take a deep look at individual issues and stories that are going on in the wrestling world. Each episode is about a different topic, and we take a thorough and educated look at things ranging from current booking trends to breakdowns on individual performers and angles to investigations into different fan cultures across the industry. In addition, we keep a close eye on the wrestling media, and as a professional journalist, I bring a unique perspective to how current issues in wrestling are being covered and discussed through the wrestling media. We have a revolving series of guests from across wrestling punditry joining us on each episode, and we hope that you make the choice to give us a listen on wherever you get your podcast from.
Lowe's knows to bring your vision to life, it's important to find the right color. That's why MyLowe's Rewards members get a free Valspar paint or exterior stain sample to test your look to confidently refresh your space. Offer valid in-store only 8/7 to 8/20. Limit 1 per customer while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See associate for details. Rewards program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Daniel McDonald. It is Thursday, 14th of August, 2025. This is episode 374. What's going on, Damon? How are you doing?
We are good. We are in the final closing stretches of G1, which is always exciting. We're coming up on the end of summer soon, which is even better. And I'm still, unfortunately, Joel, I'm still in full throttled Oasis mode, and we're seeing them in New York in 2 weeks, but I got an email about the pop-up store, so I'm going to take a trip up next weekend up to New York just to go to the pop-up store. I have train tickets. My train leaves. My train arrives in New York at 10:30. My reservation for the pop-up store is at 11:30, and my departing train is at 2. I'm spending just the time there to get some more shit that I probably don't need, and then come home. That's where my headspace is.
Yeah, we've been listening to a bit of Oasis in the car. I've made a 90s bops playlist for us to listen to.
Beautiful.
So we've been doing a bit of Don't Look Back in Anger, but unexpectedly, the Spice Girls seem to be resonating most with Arthur.
Yeah.
I've caught him a few times sort of humming and singing along to Spice Girls tunes as we've been out and about.
He's like, "Stop right now, thank you very much."
Yeah, it's I don't know if you know Who Do You Think You Are? Swing it, make it, move it, make it.
Oh yeah.
You are. And so I just heard him. He was just playing by himself, and he was like going, "Music, music, music, music."
He's getting all sassy. Nice. Good for him. See, I like the fact that you got a little. As odd as this may be, I like the Spice Girls. I like the Spice Girls a lot. I think they actually have. Here's the thing too. Here's another thing that you guys do so well over there. is female pop groups. Like, you guys nail it with the fucking. You had All Saints. You had obviously Spice Girls. How about that? Well, what the fuck were they? Girls Aloud. Is it Girls Aloud? Yeah, they were. They got some.
Although they're Irish, so I don't know if we can claim them. But
okay, all right. Well, you know what? You've done it already with their land. Might as well do it with their bands.
Do you know? Have you heard of Shampoo? They
Yes.
One hit wonder.
Yes.
We're in trouble. Something's coming. Like, kids love that one as well. Arthur's been asking about that. We're in trouble.
She's a connoisseur of 90s pop songs. That's fantastic. Good for him. Good for him.
And he also likes
good at
Saturday
home,
Night
right?
by Wigfield. Do you know that one?
What was that?
Saturday night, once I like the way you move. Pretty baby.
Yeah. I don't know it, but it definitely rings a bell. Definitely rings a bell. I always liked that Girls Aloud song. I liked what was it? Not Positivity. What was it fucking called? It was like dun, 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 dun. What was it?
I only know one of their songs off the top of my head. That's The Sound of the Underground. I think that was their first one, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Biology. Biology. The way that we walk, the way that we talk. I love that one. And I loved, I actually might have had a little thing, a little crush, little celebrity crush on the girls from All Saints. Because they were a little bit streetier, you know?
Yeah.
They were a little harder. They looked like they could fucking down a couple cans and show you a good time. I liked I Know Where It's At.
Yeah.
And never ever have I ever found something.
Yeah, that was good.
That one was great. But the one thing I didn't like about them is I hate when bands mention their band name in songs. Like, they did that a lot. And also I hate when constantly every other fucking word out of their mouth was party. Everything was party.
Party going on in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I was like, stay home one night. Take it easy. Take it easy. You're gonna burn yourself out. All this partying, please. Out of control. Speaking of parties, G1 Climax, baby. It's a party. I don't know. Terrible segue.
Yeah. No, I'm all done with the daily audio. That's finished now.
Do you miss it?
No, I sort of look back on it as a magnum opus with a lot of satisfaction and think, what an outstanding body of work that I did there.
No doubt.
What pride. I'm glad that it's over. I mean, it was, I want to say a grind. It was a commitment. It was a labour of love, but I think I was uniquely placed to do it, given that it's school holidays and I have a bit more free time. And yeah, I appreciate everyone who came along for the ride and enjoyed it. And yeah, just it didn't make sense to continue it now because we're going to talk about the quarterfinals here, and then we'll cover the semis and the finals next week. So everyone who did get their fucking wallets out will know exactly what I've thought of everything up until this point. But what about you? What have you seen? So, I mean, we'll talk about today's show separately. So aside from today's show, is there anything you've seen or noticed or vibed with up until before today's show that you want to talk about?
I thought I did like the, and again, not to let the air out of anybody's tires, but I did like the little mini story with David Finley's run. I still, unfortunately, have doubts about Shota and him in the ring. And again, we could talk about that, which was a little bit more amplified for me anyway with this past show. What else? I think Yota Tsuji has taken even further steps and I know commentary was harping on it a lot in recent days, but I really feel like he's like head and shoulders above wherever anyone else is when it comes to the young guys. Now Yuya might be a guy that eventually overtakes him, but right now I think he is a clear-cut, definitive guy in that company, and truth be said, rightfully so. Rightfully so. I'm not
Can I just
surprised by evil.
pull on one of those
Okay.
threads, actually? You mentioned you there.
Yeah.
What do you think about the decision to have him finish fourth and not make it through to the latter stages of the tournament?
Truth be told, I'll say truth be told more today. I don't have that big of an issue. I know that we talked about strapping him up and he's your guy and just go for it and all. But I look at the finals, or like the semifinals. I don't have a problem with it, and I think that you need a solid mix of established guys in that mix. Like I don't know if you could have both sides of the wall, your A and your B, having like a lot of prove me wrong guys, right? Time to step up guys. I feel like you do need a nice mix. I think they have the right guys. I really do. Like if I'm looking at New Japan Pro Wrestling right now, I think they have the right guys. Next year, absolutely. I think that there's an absolute I don't think it's a crazy conversation to have other guys move up. Am I a huge fan of Evil and House of Torture? Obviously, if you listen to this fucking show, you know I'm not. But if we're being honest with ourselves, he's a guy that's absolutely in the mix, whether you like it or not. He's there. And do I think he's going to win? Do I think he's going to move on? I don't. But I think he's a guy that can. I don't know. If you're looking for crowd sympathy and you're looking for the crowd to get behind a guy, yeah, I mean that's you put him against Evil because everybody in that building is rooting for the guy to get his ass kicked. So, I didn't have that big of a problem with it, Joel. I think I feel like at least this year the right guys are right where they need to be.
Yeah, see, I was very bummed out about you're not making it because I think he's been one of the outstanding performers in the tournament, and I just, as I've talked about at length on this show, I just find it very frustrating with the painting by numbers conservative booking that they go through, where you have a guy re-debut and then it's struggle, loss, lose title match, lose title match, lose title match, and then at some point they might flirt with the finals of like a New Japan Cup, and then they might have a little dalliance with the white belt, and then a year after that, then maybe they're in the conversation for being and losing a G1 final, and it just feels very cookie cutter. Like everyone's getting the same thing, and they never really have the courage to do anything exciting and really push a guy and have anyone kind of jump the queue. It just feels like a sort of a conveyor belt where right now it's this guy's turn for this step of the push, and now it's this guy's turn for this step of the push. And I got really excited by Yu's performances this tournament because I think he's been outstanding. In terms of the in-ring stuff and his charisma and his crowd connection and the way the chemistry he was having with other wrestlers, and then for him to be out it's like Finlay and Suji, I can't really complain about that, but the Evil thing that upset me, and I know I shouldn't have been upset because we talked about it at length after the Dominion show. Like we all knew this Evil push was coming after the way he's been booked and the way that Dominion show was presented, and he was sort of the snake in the grass. He was hiding there. They disguised him in. They kept him away from main events and semi-main events, and I kind of forgot about him, which is me being stupid. And then he sort of popped up again. I was like, "Oh fuck!" Now he's won the block, and got annoyed because I looked at that sort of binary choice, Yu or Evil, and for me, like that Yu, I just really was hoping, more hope than expectation that they would do something bold and have him go deep in the tournament and maybe even win it and just do something exciting. And I talked on the Patreon about how he's not a young man. He's 30, and I compared him to Okada at the same age. And Okada, when he was 30 in 2017, he had accolades coming out of his arse. He's multi-time world champion, multi-time Wrestle Kingdom main event and Wrestle Kingdom main event winner, multiple time world champion, G1 winner. So it's all this stuff, and he was in the middle of that historic dominant run he was on. And I'm not saying that you should have all of that stuff, but maybe one of those things might be nice, and we might not be struggling, and we might not have the problem where we are with the company making stars. So whilst I can make the case for the 6 people that they did advance, I just found that really frustrating, because to me that was emblematic of the typically conservative nature of New Japan's booking, that I think is responsible for there not being any stars and not really being anyone exciting.
Were you more upset about Yuya not making it or Evil making it?
Well, I think the two go hand in hand. I mean, I think so. If Evil had gone through and Yuya had made it at the expense of Finlay or Tsuji, I probably would have forgiven it, to be honest. I just, again, like, Finlay was there, same spot last year, Tsuji, similar spot last year. I just wanted there to be something different, just something I could go, oh, they're doing something here. They're trying something new, but they're not.
How much do you think the Gabe injury, though, messed things up? Do you think that do you think things would have been different at the top if Gabe didn't get hurt?
No, because he was in a different block, wasn't he? I don't think there would have been that much of a...
Just in general, though. Like, do you think the same people would be there eventually at the end?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Gabe was the global champion. He's got the white belt, so I think that probably would have precluded him from making it into the final 6.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I hear you. I'm trying my best to not. How many times have we sat here on this show and talked about things they could do to make things a little bit spicier or be a little bit more, I don't know, a little pep in their step, and kind of, I don't know, we constantly throw out ideas off the top of our head that sound good to us at the time. And I as much as I try, I can never really quite do it, but I try to say, okay, let them do what they do. And then eventually, when I least expect it, it'll happen, and it'll be something that'll knock my fucking pants off. I don't know, man. They're just not a company that...
What's the last thing that New Japan did that knocked your pants off?
Right. I mean, we're talking... You know what? The last thing probably was Kenta. That was probably the last thing where I was like, whoa, okay. That's kind of crazy. And how long ago was that?
Right.
Yeah, I'm really racking my brain trying to think of, like, what was the one, like, what was a moment where I was just like, wow, bowled over. It's been a while.
And we'll talk about him later, but I think Yota Tsuji having his post-excursion, like his comeback match, being the main event of Dominion against Sonata for the world title. Right. That was exciting, and that made me think, oh, they're doing something. And then here we are 2 years later thinking, okay, maybe they're going to do it with Tsuji this time. And I think that's, again, speaks to the issue we've got here, where there is something exciting. We're like, oh, they might catch a lightning in the bottle here, but then they just let it cool down. They do not strike while the iron's hot. And we could get into a whole conversation about Gedo losing his fastball, and my desire for the whole booking committee to be overhauled, but that's another conversation for another time. We're in an era now where everything is very, very safe and very conservative and very slow, and it's just really frustrating to watch.
I hear you. I mean, I definitely get it. And again, for all the reasons that we've talked about, all the times that we've, again, what we felt come up with exciting, fresh, new things to get the and I say the youngsters, but as you pointed out, they're not that young. Get them to a point where we're moving. You did bring up Yota Tsuji and his day. That the title match against Sonata, and it does that whole looking back on that, that just does seem preposterous to me. Like, if you're going to have that match, you go all the way. Like, you had him have that match, and then how long ago was that match? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Like
2 years.
you,
It's
you,
Minion 2023.
yeah, he had to start over again.
Yeah.
Like, that seemed silly to me, right? I don't know. I look, if I sit here and try to figure out what's in their heads, I'll go insane. That said, Joel, I'm okay with who's at the top. Would I have loved to have seen somebody different? Yeah, yeah. If you're, gun to my head, yes. But I'm okay with what we have, because here's the thing: at the end of the day, though, is anybody going to remember the four guys? No, they're going to remember the last match, and the last match, I think, was something that everyone circled. Two guys that like deserve to be. I hate saying deserve, but those are the two guys that make the most sense to be in the finals, and I think that we're on a collision course for it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the two playoff matches from today then. What would you like to start with? Do you want to start with Takeshita Finlay or Shota Yota?
Yeah, we'll go in order. What the hell?
All right, so let's go Takeshita to defeat David Finlay, 70 minutes, 12 seconds via Raging Fire. What do you think of that one?
I know there was a large pregnant pause there. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed the match a ton. I still think there is another level, and hopefully we get that in a finals or even in a semifinals. For Takeshita, like, I just feel like we haven't even hit. I don't even think we've hit like a third gear. Yeah, I think we still have like 3, 4, and 5 to go. Are there 5 gears in a car? 6 gears? Who knows? I still think there's plenty more in the tank. I think Finlay was awesome. I really enjoyed Finlay almost the entire tournament. I thought he was really fucking solid. I thought his offense was like very stiff, very convincing. Working over the knee was, that was the story of the match.
Do you think Takeshita sold it appropriately? Because if I have one criticism of the match, that he kind of blew it off at the end. There was one moment where I thought, oh, that's the decisive moment. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was going for some sort of move and then couldn't get Finlay up because of the knee, and then Finlay was able to counter it. But then, like, the last 5 minutes, he just blew it off completely. And
they forgot about
do
it.
That. Like, don't do the knee stuff if you're just gonna ignore it down the stretch.
He got all psyched up. He had adrenaline going, Joe.
Okay,
I know.
We'll let him off then. I know this might just be a me thing. I'm a bit of a selling fetishist, but when they're kind of waving that flag, me like, look, this is a limb match, then I start like getting the magnifying glass out. I can't help myself.
No, I mean, I think it's fair because, if for 10, 15 minutes they're working over that one body part and it's like, oh, and then it's just thrown out the window. Yeah, it is a little frustrating. I didn't mind it as much. Honestly, it didn't really resonate with me in the sense of, oh, that took me right out of the fucking match. I was in. I'll tell you what, the one thing he did, Finlay, in the beginning of the match when they were brawling outside, and he did that spear into the railing. Yes. Holy shit!
Over the guardrail. That was awesome.
Oh my goodness! I was like, that looked brutal. That looked just to take that, and then they followed up with another him taking a bump over the rail.
That's what I love about Finlay. Like, a lot of the moves that he does, a lot of his offense seems to be done with like complete disregard for his opponent's safety, and like the suspension of disbelief is like nailed there because he looks like he's trying to fuck people up. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, and the good news is that people are, I don't ever hear of anyone complaining about David Finley and how he hurts guys, he doesn't protect guys or such shit like that. So, I mean, that's to me, that's pretty solid work. If you're popping me out of a chair, watching your match, and and then in the same breath, everybody's fine afterward. That's yes, that's exactly what we're looking for, and not to bleed into the talk of the next match, but like to me, that is a major difference between Shota and again, if I'm using David Finley as an example, where Shota will he'll hit you hard and he'll take hard stuff, but it's kind of like, look, I feel like I could get your kids in the middle of a ring and chop them, and they can, take a chop, and vice versa. Like it's not that like, yes, it hurts. Yes, it's fucking uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, you're standing there. Whereas Finley does shit that like looks incredibly dangerous, but it looks deadly. And like it looks solid and crisp. Like there's
Looks like he's
nothing
lost
there.
control of his opponent in a really good way. It's like, whoa,
Right.
this is completely wild. He's going to drop this dude on their head.
Yeah, yeah. And I never get that feeling with Shota. In fact, I get kind of the opposite. He's more. I get the feeling that he's dangerous and not looking good at the same time. Like that's what I get. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I thought the match was very good. It might be in my top 5 for the entire tournament, maybe top 3. Quite honestly, I thought it was that good. I thought it was really, really good.
Let's stick with Finlay for a bit there, because I totally agree. I think he's had an outstanding tournament, and I just love the way he works. When he's on top, he's just like brutalizing people, and it feels like a shoot, and I love that, and it just totally fits with his personality and his gimmick. But he's out of the tournament now. What do you think? What do you do with the David Finlay going forward? Because he was on this kind of redemption arc where he started off slowly, and then he was rattling off all these wins, and the crowd were getting really behind him, and they were just beside themselves when he had that big match, like the revenge match against Evil, where he just like battered the whole House of Torture single-handedly. And the crowd, there was like a solid, it was like almost 50-50, the Korakuen crowd today. A lot of people were behind David Finlay. He's getting really good reactions. Like what do you do with him next? What's the ceiling for a guy like Finlay? Because I know he's a white guy, so that always carries with it a certain flight risk. But I don't know. I don't feel from him the immediate threat that he's going to be snapped up by a WWE or an AEW. I don't think he's got that sort of jumping off the screen charisma and kind of ability to be packaged into like a neat little bite-sized gimmick for the Yankoid imbecile audience that would make him attractive to either company. So I'm not particularly worried about him leaving, and I just think like, what's the best way to maximize the talent of a guy like Finlay? Because I don't think he's got superstar charisma, and I don't think he's a guy where you put the IWGP World Title on him and then suddenly New Japan's fortunes turn around and the buildings are selling out. Like I think he's not that kind of guy, but he's an outstanding supporting guy, like a 1B guy. And I feel that even though he doesn't have that tippy top guy charisma, you could still do with him with the world title what he did with the global title, where he gets that run with the belt and builds it up for, I don't know, 6 months or something, and then is used as like the springboard to get the next domestic star over, whether that's a Yuya Uemura or a Oiwa or whoever it is. So I do think there is upside in keeping Finlay strong and having him eventually being a world champion, even if I don't ever think he's going to be like, a Kenny Omega or like a Will Ospreay tier talent.
See, I'm going to disagree. And I'll tell you what. All right, I'm going to throw a scenario by you. Just stay with me with an open mind, if you would. I think he has a tremendous amount of charisma. I think he plays a heel fantastic. I love his no bullshit approach. When he acts like a tough guy, I buy it. I kind of blame New Japan for this, and hear me out. In the sense of, one, I can't believe that they hadn't pulled the trigger on him and at least given him a taste of the title and say, let's see what you can do. And that's not to say he'll never win it, but it is kind of like, all right, we're taking 2 steps backwards, move 1 step forward, 2 steps backward with them. And I don't think I think they do and they don't appreciate or even recognize what they have with him. He's a cookie cutter American heel, and he's not American, right? But he's a cookie cutter. He's a cookie cutter New Japan foreign heel. Big mouth, cocky, similar look. You know what I mean? It does feel a lot to be Bullet Club-esque, and we can go back throughout the decade and give you examples. If he landed somewhere, and I'll tell you what, if he landed in WWE, right, as an example, because I don't trust Tony Khan, because if he went to AEW, he would be David Finlay as he is packaged right now and left to do whatever he wants. But if he went somewhere where I have an idea, you're going to be this guy, and this is his motivation, and this is that, I think he would absolutely fucking thrive. I really, truly, honestly do. I'm not saying he's, fucking Steve Austin, but I really feel like he's a guy that people didn't even appreciate. Like when Austin started, people appreciated him like in WCW and Hollywood Blondes and his TV title run and all that shit. And then he goes to ECW and he kind of gets to do what he wants. And people were still on board. He gets to WWF, whatever, Ringmaster. Okay, great, whatever. And then, they kind of let him grow as the story goes. I feel like that's David Finlay right now, where people are on board with him and people appreciate what he is and who he is and what he is. But like at this point, I think we're done with Bullet Club David Finlay, and I think he almost has to move on. And I would want him to move on because I think if there was a creative idea or something that is outside of your typical Bullet Club heel kind of guy, I absolutely 1,000% would put stock in David Finlay. I promise you. I don't want to sit here and hype it so much that it becomes preposterous. But like I think his best days are still ahead of him, and I don't necessarily think that's New Japan. And I think all he needs is like one creative idea to spark something, and away he goes. I think he's that fucking talented.
Yeah, because it feels like the crowd want to cheer for him. They're ready to cheer for him now, and the War Dogs have sort of shifted along that heel face spectrum and feel like kind of cool tweeners at the moment. The way that I don't know, Bullet Club have occupied that space in the past, like when Kenny Omega was after his unsuccessful title challenge against Okada. He went on a similar route there. I mean, not comparing them in terms of the talent, but more in terms of how they were positioned in sort of the baby face heel alignment. So I think part of the problem is that there isn't a big heel in New Japan apart from Evil. So they've got no heels apart from him. And he's just like a cartoonish, silly heel where there's not really any sense of menace there. So yeah, it's hard to sort of do that and have guys that Finlay could be positioned against to maximise and tap into that desire that I think the crowd have to cheer him because they like him. They like what he's been doing. I feel they missed the boat. And again, I could say this about half a dozen guys and moments with him not winning the world title after winning the New Japan Cup. I think he should have beaten Hiroki Goto, and I think he should have been champion going into the G1, maybe even held all the way to Wrestling. I don't know, but that was worth a try. And I think they missed the boat on that. Again, failed to strike while the iron was hot. So now it'll be interesting to see what they do with him post G1 and whether they do have anything in mind for him for Wrestle Kingdom, because I don't know if I'm kind of prognosticating he would kind of be an odd man out at this moment, which would be a shame because, like you, I think he's a really valuable wrestler, and I think he's shown. I don't know. I was going to say he's shown a lot of loyalty to New Japan, but like we've no idea like what offers have or haven't been made behind the scenes. But I don't know. I get the feel, the vibe from him that he's going to maybe stick around longer than people might think he would. But certainly, really excellent output so far this G1, and I think he's made Takeshita look great in this match.
Right, and that's a problem though. Like when you know that there's bigger things ahead for you, and the company that you work for, and maybe they do. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you that I know 6 months from now what David Finlay in New Japan will look like. It's got to be that concerns me a little bit in the fact that he does feel like a rudderless ship right now, especially coming off of G1. Like everybody has their thing. Everybody has their little, claim to fame in New Japan. And, you would, the way it was feeling anyway, that it was Finlay, with this miraculous run, the biggest comeback in G1 history, and that went away. It is kind of like, okay, now what? Like he feels like a guy that can't cross the finish line. And I feel like there's only so many people can cross the finish line, so to speak. Right? I get that, but there's no time in a 5-year span or a 4-year span to cross the finish line. Like I don't know. It's like when are we? Like I guess my question is when does he get his, or has he already gotten it? Right? Has he already gotten it? I think.
Okay, let me put you on the spot. Yes or no? Do you think he is a Tokyo Dome main eventer in the future?
Right now, no, but he could be. And again, I don't blame him. I blame the company. I think he has all the tools, but he's just not in a position to be a guy that is going to be responsible for, selling tickets to the biggest building you got. So right now, no. Right now, no. Now, if he were booked a little differently, I think he has all the things that you need. I really do. I just don't think he's in a spot to be that guy. And again, I blame more New Japan than I blame David Finlay for that.
Yeah, I think just trying to find the right story and the right opponent for him to tap into that element. I think that's the challenge. And I don't know, I could just dip into the realm of fantasy booking and, maybe some sort of leadership battle for the War Dogs with Gabe Kidd. Maybe he can kick Gabe Kidd out of the company. we'll get to him later. Or I don't know. I think something's up with Callum Newman. Maybe Callum Newman, with all his Prince Devitt tribute stuff, is some sort of hostile takeover of the War Dogs and boots David Finlay out, and then Newman can be like the next top heel in the company and feud with Finlay. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing the ideas out there that I think might be fresh and interesting. But yeah, I think they've got a challenge on their hands to sustain fan interest in him and do something with him post G1, which is, a challenge for a lot of guys that do not win the G1 Climax and who are not holding singles titles. But if we could, let's shift to talking about Takeshita, because I agree with you in a sense. I think he's been saving himself, he's been pacing himself, and in a lot of ways that's sensible, because I think last year he was doing some nutty stuff throughout the tournament, and I think he injured himself early on, and maybe the Gabe Kidd injury sort of spooked him a bit. So you can clearly see a shift in his output, whereby throughout the tournament I felt he was matching his opponent's pace and style and energy rather than dragging or lifting them to his own 100 miles an hour pace, which we know he's capable of. Like, we've seen him at his best or close to his best. And I thought we saw glimpses of it today that we hadn't seen in the block stage up at this point. So he looks to me, he looked to me from Jump Street, like the start of the tournament, that he was a guy who was going to go deep. And there's all the industry rumors circulating about some kind of sustained coordinated push across different companies to have him as the top guy. See, that's always a lot of people sort of picked up that ball and ran with it and said, like, okay, he's winning the G1 main eventing Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, it could be. I wouldn't rule it out, but it might not be that. And I'm always just a bit skeptical of things that require coordination with AEW, because I've heard plenty of stuff told to me in private where they've got this really great idea for a Wrestle Dynasty, or this guy from AEW is going to be in the G1, and it just turns out not happening because Tony Khan changes his mind and think, actually, no, I want this guy to do this instead, and then the whole thing falls apart. So I'm a bit dubious of that. And again, I don't know what the terms are of Takeshita's New Japan contract. Like, if they've got something on paper where they have first option for him on all the key dates and key tournaments and big shows, and that they have like first refusal, they can do exactly what they want with him, and their stories that there's no potential for that to be scuppered by what AEW want to do with him, then I'd say, yeah, absolutely, go with it. A little bit of me is a bit hesitant seeing the numbers and the attendances for the G1, particularly in Osaka, which is Takeshi's hometown. I expected bigger numbers with him in main events than they did, but I'm not going to square that blame solely on him, because there was some weird venue stuff with the usual venues that they go to being closed, and weird sort of out of town venues being used where, it says Osaka, but it's not really Osaka as we know it, and it's a pain in the ass to get to, whatever. So I'm just curious what you think, like, how far is Takeshita going in this tournament? Because he's beaten Finlay. He has a rematch now with Zack Sabre Jr., whom he lost to in the block stage. And then it would seem strange for him to lose to Zack twice. So right. I do think he's going to beat Zack, and I don't have a problem with that. So that will put him in the final against either Tsuji or Evil. And I think it kind of picks itself at this point. Like, I would be really surprised if it's Evil. So basically, I think we're looking at a Takeshita versus Tsuji final. So I'm just curious how you think what happens to Takeshita from this point onwards, because whilst I can kind of get behind the idea of Takeshita getting this mega push and winning the G1 and going into Wrestle Kingdom challenging in the main event, it doesn't quite add up to me, because, and we'll talk about Tsuji later, but I think Tsuji losing 2 G1 finals in a row and then losing this one to an outsider wouldn't be a good look. And I think you can potentially get to Takeshita being in a Tokyo Dome main event without necessarily winning the G1, because if he beats Zack in the semi-final, then he's got a win over the world champion. So could parlay that into challenging Zack later on in the year and possibly beating him. I guess it just sort of depends on what you think the Wrestle Kingdom main event is going to be. Could it be Takeshita going into the main event as challenger, Takeshita going into the main event as champion, Zack still going in as champion? Like, there's a lot of variables here. I'm just curious, how far do you think they go with Takeshita?
Well, like if we're saying, okay, who is the guy that you're going to put your chips on to be the guy for your promotion? And I think while an argument can be made, I think, quite frankly, he is head and shoulders above everyone else when it comes to a guy that I would say young, incredibly talented, incredibly gifted, athletic, a good look, a good aura, checks just about every single fucking box for me, right? So yeah, him winning G1 and going to Wrestle Kingdom would be, to me, the ideal scenario. But, and it's a big but, just exactly what you outlined. And that is, what exactly, if we were to belt him up, and or, main event this Wrestle Kingdom, what what does that mean in terms of availability? What does that mean in terms of representing the company as your world champion? What does that
Or
mean?
even, sorry, Damon, in a more sort of immediate point, who would he be challenging as the champion? Like, do you do a third match with Zack Sabre Jr. where they face each other in the block, face each other in the semi-final, and then like, do you have that, like, that's the completion of the trilogy? Zack champion against Takeshi, the G1 winner at the Wrestle Kingdom main event?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I think no matter how you get there, I think he is your challenger at Wrestle Kingdom. But again, that big old but. I do also have concerns. Like this would be a cut and dry scenario if he was 100%. He's a New Japan contracted employee pro wrestler. Like to me, it would just be an absolute fucking no brainer. Like he is your guy, and for whatever reasons and what and the history speaks to it, you can continue to do at the pace that New Japan is comfortable with your other, and again I put in air quotes, younger guys, right? Your younger stars. You don't have to, and again air quotes, rush anything. You don't have to, like, he's your guy. The problem is that he's not 100% your guy. So, do you roll the dice and say, okay, we're gonna belt him up, make him here, and maybe things work out in the end? Well, I got news for you: they never fucking do. Right? You either have the commitment or you don't have it, and you don't have it. That's where you are right now, and I don't know if that changes in 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years. I don't know how long. But it's not just cut and dry. So you have Yota Tsuji, who, again, would probably do him more good than just about anybody else on that roster for him to win G1. Like that is a huge, huge feather in your cap. So do you go with, hey, this guy is ours. He's tried and true. He's our future. We know that. He's whether Takeshi is here or not, or stays or goes or whatever. We know Yota Tsuji is a guy that we can not only rely on, but he 100% is a piece of, and a big piece of, New Japan's future. So, okay, do we invest in him with a G1 win? And again, you can also still find a way to say, okay, yep, Takeshi beats Zack. He's an instant challenger for the title. Could he win? And then it's, Tsuji and Takeshita in the Dome. Sure, you could do that. Look, it's a good problem to have, Joel, but it's also a terrible problem to have. Every sign kind of pointed to the fact that there was a commitment and on both sides with Takeshita, and it does feel like he is en route to that. In the back of my mind, I have the same doubts that you have, and this, maybe not doubts, but I do have the same concerns. And it would be so much easier if we didn't have a lot of the roadblocks that we kind of see coming around the bend. If I'm New Japan, Joel, you got to go with the best guy. You got to go with the best guy. And I think Takeshi is the best guy.
So you think he beats Zack in the semi-final, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I think he wins the tournament.
Wins the tournament, okay. Yeah, so, I feel they kind of put themselves into a bit of a corner in as much as if I just can't find a Wrestle Kingdom main event that is fresh and makes sense, because we'll talk about Tsuji in a minute, but I'm kind of pretty certain it's going to be Tsuji Takeshita in the G1 final. I've kind of worked myself into thinking Tsuji needs to win that, because I think him losing 2 finals in a row would be rubbish. But then if he beats Takeshita, then Tsuji is challenging at Wrestle Kingdom. But who is he challenging? Because I feel that, just based on comments that have been made backstage, that Zack might be penciled in as the Aaron Wolf opponent. So I don't think Zack is going to be going into Wrestle Kingdom as the champion. So then I'm looking at who has wins over Zack in the G1. So in the blocks, it was Ren and Shota who have wins over him. So I think we could rule out the possibility of Ren Narita being champion going into Wrestle Kingdom. It could be Shota. I wouldn't rule that out. Shota Umino beating Zack, in October or something, and then Shota being champion going into Wrestle Kingdom and Tsuji as G1 winner challenging him. Or it could be Takeshita having beaten Zack in the semi-final, challenging him again, and I'd just say, for the sake of argument, say October. So then Takeshita is champion going into Wrestle Kingdom and Tsuji's challenging him. But then if you do that, that would necessitate Tsuji having already beaten Takeshita in the G1 final, and he beat him in last year's G1 semi-final. So then he's already got 2 wins over Takeshita. So there's not, even though Takeshita is champion, there's not that sort of story of where you're wanting to see Tsuji, that what is there for him to overcome if he's already got 2 wins over him. So it's all a bit messy. I can't arrive at a fresh match for a Wrestle Kingdom main event. The only thing I would say about the Wrestle Kingdom main event, I think that Tanahashi's retirement match and Aaron Wolf's debut match is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of sales.
Yes.
And eyeballs, people tuning in. It's on a favourable day of the week, and the TV Asahi terrestrial channel, whatever it is covering it. So that, I think, has got a lot of new eyeballs on it. And I've said before, I think the Wrestle Kingdom main event needs to be a huge and clear statement of intent for the present and future of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I do feel it needs to be, as racist as this sounds, it needs to be 2 Japanese guys in the main event there. And that's, casual viewers and lapsed viewers tuning in and say, oh, so these are the 2 top guys in the company. These are the guys I need to pay attention to. This is the, defining feud of this generation that we're going to be revisiting. And I feel it's just going to be 2 of either Takeshita, Tsuji, or, and I know this is going to be very controversial, but Shota Umino. I can't rule him out just by virtue of the way that both of those guys were positioned this year at Wrestle Kingdom, with Tsuji winning the semi-main event and Shota being in the main event, albeit losing. So those 2 guys were just positioned very, very highly. And I think there's maybe some intentionality to that. I don't know. But it is messy. I can't think it's this, and this. This is your definite Wrestle Kingdom main event. This person's winning. So it's a bit messy for me.
Right. But I think you also answered your own question in the sense of the retirement match for Tanahashi and Aaron Wolf are going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So I don't think it's as definitely you need to have this fresh, original, first time, everyone's excited kind of heavyweight championship match. I think you can get away with it.
It's almost like a free hit, isn't it?
What's that?
It's almost like a free hit. You're playing with house money at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you absolutely need that. And I think that all the guys that you're talking about are incredibly talented. Shota, I really wouldn't want to see him in a main event picture at the Dome again. But, okay. If that's the worst thing that happens, it wouldn't be too. Listen, we got to worry about Daniel Garcia, Joel. We got to worry about Nigel McGuinness. Zach might not walk out of this as world champion. We might have a separate
Lee
world
Moriarty headlining Wrestle Kingdom. It could happen.
Hi, I'm Kristen Bell, and if you know my husband Dax, then you also know he loves shopping for a car. Selling a car? Not so much.
We're really doing this, huh?
Thankfully, Carvana makes it easy. Answer a few questions, put in your VIN or license, and done. We sold ours in minutes this morning, and they'll come pick it up and pay us this afternoon.
Bye-bye, truckie.
Of course, we kept the favorite.
Hello, other truckie.
Sell your car with Carvana today. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready for it. So, but no,
I mean, it should be Yuya. It should be Yuya when we're in that spot, but I don't see how we get there, and so it's probably not going to be him.
we got 6 months. We got 6 months and at least one major show. So, I mean, again, they would have to do things that they don't normally do to get there, but you do have a guy that could be in that role. I just think you have a guy that is prepackaged, ready to go. And honestly, the worry that we have is just based off of hearsay and whatever. We don't know, or at least I don't know, the 100% he can do this, he can't do that kind of thing with Takeshita. So, look, taking that out of the equation, and it's hard to do, I can't see how you turn him down.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have concerns about what we're doing with Yota Tsuji. Let's talk about that now. So the main event today was the other G1 Climax 35 playoff. Yota Tsuji defeated Shota Umino 28 minutes 18 seconds via Gene Blaster. Your thoughts on the match, please?
Look, I think it kind of falls on deaf ears at this point. The fact that Shota lost clean was at least encouraging in the sense of you could easily have gone the other way, and we would have been bitching and moaning on this show for 2 hours. Even with both guys in the ring, I felt like Tsuji was head and shoulders. It's just from everything, from in-ring presentation to presence to his fucking footwork in the ring. Nothing looked sloppy. Nothing looked like he feels. I'm comfortable with him in the ring. I am not comfortable with Shota in the ring. I can't say at all, but there were plenty of times where, again, he looks like he's tripping over his own feet. He had that quick spring drop kick, like a little mule kick drop kick, and he was so close. He was so tight in, like he couldn't even barely extend his fucking legs to do the drop kick. There was that one spot where, and again, it feels like I'm nitpicky. I'm being nitpicky, Nate here, but like that one spot where it was kind of like the crucifix roll up kind of thing that they just got all fucking tangled up in the ropes, and I'm like, please don't fucking end it here. I don't know. I don't know if he gets nervous or he gets lost or he just doesn't have the fucking physical gifts, but it does feel like he's constantly tripping all over himself. He's nothing he does is particular. Oh, the one time. Oh, again, I don't want it to sit here and be like I'm sitting here with him under a microscope. But what's the move where he does the kind of Yoda does the kind of like the curb stomp kind of thing?
Yeah.
And that was maybe the worst sell. Just taking that bump was incredibly awful. Just awful. Go back and watch it. It's just like, oh my God. It looked horrible. And there's just all those little things add up. I would love to, how podcasts, they love to get wrestlers on and talk wrestling and all this stuff. I would like to have a conversation with any one of the many New Japan Pro wrestlers that listen to this fine broadcast. And I would love to ask them, look, we don't do this. You guys do. What do you look for in a pro wrestler that makes you think, oh, this guy, he's got a lot of work? Or this guy really knows what the fuck, this guy's the real deal. And I think it comes down to basics, and I think it comes down to fundamentals. And there are times, and again, I'm not sitting here telling you I'm fucking Dean Malenko. But I've been around enough to know, again, it seems like his footwork and his body position and all of that just seems really off. Can he stand there and take chops? Yep. Good for you. That's good. It hurts. He's right there. Great. It's just putting the pieces of the puzzle together always look like it's a fucking square peg in a round hole and we're jamming it in with a hammer. Like, it never looks fluid. It never looks, I don't know. I just never feel like I get done watching a match of his and think, okay, he's got it all together. There's always pieces that just seem so fucking disjointed. I don't want to see him anywhere near a main event, Joel. I really don't. I don't think he has the ring presence. I don't think he has the physical ability. And we're at the point where I'm telling you right now, I think that they were young lions right now opening these fucking shows in black tights and black boots that have the fundamentals down better than him. Now, if a wrestler would love to contact us and prove me wrong, please do, because I'm certainly not as verse as you, and I will admit that. But to the untrained eye, we'll say, it doesn't look good at all.
Wow. I really liked the match. I know, I'm just over here.
Really?
Islands. Yeah, I did. I thought it was really good. I thought he showed a lot of fire. I thought that there was intensity there. I thought that he was laying the strikes in appropriately hard. I just thought it was good. And I realise I'm in the absolute minority here, and most people are shitting on him and hate his G1 and think he's been awful. I don't know. I feel that post G1 he's improved. Not G1, post Wrestle Kingdom. Right, Wrestle Kingdom main event was bad. Like, we accept that, and I think that was a lot of, as much on Zack Sabre Jr. as it was on Shota, and we've seen them have an absolute killer match in the G1, and I think that kind of match layout suits Shota Umino's strengths. Like, we know what sort of match Shota is great in, and it's a match like that, or a match like the New Japan Cup final, or the match he had at Dontaku, I want to say, against Shingo, where like someone's going to stand toe to toe with him and meet that level of intensity, and they're just going to have a fucking firefight. Like, that to me is where Shota Umino shines. He's not the finished article. Like, yes, he absolutely has flaws in his game. I don't think he is an ace or a future ace. I don't think he's got that in him. I don't think he's any kind of ring general where he is able to lead a match, because I think he's had a good G1, but in matches against opponents who do not sort of match his stylistic strengths, guys like, a Great O'Khan, that match was crap. Whereas I think if you're going to be a top wrestler, you need to, that's unacceptable, right? You see, Takeshita or Zack Sabre Jr. wrestling Great O'Khan, and the match is very good. So what's the difference there? Is it Great O'Khan's dogging it, or is it the superior wrestler is dragging them, kicking and screaming, be like, this is the match we're going to have, this is the layout, and this is what you need to do? So yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, yes, Shota's the best wrestler in the company, or we should be putting the world title on him, or he's going to, lead us into the future, or anything like that. I do think I think he's improved, and I think his performances are appropriate for the level of push he's getting. Now, I know he was a Wrestle Kingdom main eventer, but he is put like a perennial loser. So he lost the New Japan Cup final, has lost this G1 playoff match. He never wins anything, right? So, it's not like he's being pushed down your throat as this like unbeatable ace of the company where he's like destroying everyone and he's positioned as the top guy, because he's absolutely not. He's the story, he's just, the way New Japan are presenting to us is this is a guy who chokes or bottles or is just not good enough to get it done when it comes to the crunch time. And I think for that tier of wrestler, I think his performances are fine in a complimentary way. So yeah, I can't say like, yeah, this is going to be a future, top top guy in the company. But I think the level of, and again, you've laid it out really clearly, and I can't really fault anything that you said there. I just think we're sort of landing differently on it. But I think the consensus is more on your side, Damon, where people have just had enough with this guy. And I just find it curious that it came from this match, which I thought was really good. I really liked it. The crowd were into it. I thought they were vibing well. Maybe that was more down to Suji. I don't know. But I don't know. I think he's neat.
I mean, look, his 2025 is filled with improvement. There's no doubt about that. So there's one. Two, I didn't hate the match. I thought the match was good, but there were plenty of places where there were holes. Three, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, in the sense of a big spotlight match. I would have massive reservations. You mentioned, the Wrestle Kingdom match with Zach. Like, who has a bad match with Zach? You know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? And again, that was 7 months ago, 8 months ago, and he's improved. But still, I don't think that there's anybody on that roster where I would be like, okay, you're going to have a match and it's a guaranteed 100% banger. I don't have faith that anyone can make that work consistently. Like, it might happen. It could happen. He has shown glimpses of it. And with the right dance partner, Christ, anything's possible. Fucking, Ric Flair made a summer out of fucking wrestling Nikita Koloff, and it made it work. I just don't trust him. And you mentioned the level of push in the middle. Right. He's not like he's winning every tournament. And it's not like he's taking every belt and making everybody else look like fucking fools. That's not happening. But even so, Joel, I feel like there are so many fucking people on that roster that, if given the same opportunities, would be shining much brighter. I really honestly do. I don't know. I'm not. So, who should be in fucking House of Torture? Him. That's, you want to know where New Japan fucked up? He should be in House of Torture, and Ren Narita shouldn't have been in House of Torture. How about that? Don't you think Ren Narita would have been a better fucking fit for the Shota Umino role?
I don't know what the good fit for Shota is at this point. He's
That's
just
the
like the lost toy at this point, the misfit toy.
I know it does seem like a distant memory of Ren being someone worthy of a sit down and watch, but I don't know. I don't have any confidence. I have no confidence in him. And maybe that improves, but it feels like it's the basic stuff that, once again, I'm not just saying this for a hot take, but I truly and honestly believe that there are young lions that perform the basics better than Shota Umino. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier for him, like, especially seeing guys coming up like Yuya and Oiwa and Olive Bolton and Callum. Like, there's a whole bunch of guys who are ready to eat his lunch and are going to
there's Aaron Wolf just winning.
Yeah. Yes,
yeah. I'd be worried about that crop. I'd be worried about even the Cal Newmans and the fucking. No, I'd be worried more about the fucking guys that are a level below, just waiting, chomping at the bit, rolling around in 6-man tags right now. Yeah, those are the people I'd be worried about, Shota, to be quite honest with you. I don't know. Nepotism. That's what it is, right? Just kidding. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I have enjoyed him in this tournament and think he's improved, like, there's clearly a massive disconnect there. Like, this is not all everything going to plan. Like, the crowd seemed pretty firmly behind Suji in this match. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and like because he comes across as a fucking star, number one. I mean, that's pretty. That I think that was crystal clear. Like he was the star of that match. And again, don't get me wrong, Joel. I did think the match was good. But again, if we're talking about one guy's performance, I thought it was less than what needed to be. And if anything brought down the match from a great to a good, it would have been Shota. I mean, that's what I'm looking at.
Maybe he just needs to be repositioned. Like if he was in like a Yoshihashi role as primarily a tag guy, an occasional challenger, like guy who might make it to a G1 quarterfinal or might make it to a semi-final of a New Japan Cup or whatever, then there would be less expectation on him, and I don't know, maybe that might kind of free him up a bit. But this level of scrutiny that he's under, I think in some ways is unfair, because I feel like he's being micro-analysed in a way that a lot of his peers are not. Like they're
using a Wrestle Kingdom main event.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like he has been put in high-profile spots in a manner which invites that level of scrutiny, I suppose.
That's where people have the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a magnification of his faults because of where he resided earlier this year. And again, point clear that it's not like he's going through and winning G1. It's not like he's going through and winning New Japan Cup. It's not like he's winning titles left and right. He loses more than he wins, to be truthful, but there is always that air of, okay, he's a guy that we're looking to take a next step, and it feels like that the opportunities that he's had, even when it comes to something stupid like Moxley being involved with him, there are plenty of things and opportunities that people are like, that's kind of weird. Okay, let's see what he can do. Okay, well, not quite, but we got another chance. Okay, great. Oh, we got another chance, and now he's in this redemption arc thing that I don't know what that means at this point. He cut his hair a couple times, and he comes out with a hoodie over his fucking head. Okay, great. That's a new guy.
Yeah, I agree. He's presented in a way that is telling you this is a guy you should care about.
Yeah. And tell me again why I should care.
It's Red Shoes Uno's son.
Right. Well, all right. Again, I think if we did a contest of, if Joe Lanza can do a top 100 tag teams better than the Dudleys, I think we could do guys on the New Japan roster that are nowhere near where Shota Umino is, and yet probably would be a better fit. Yeah,
that's it. Maybe it's sort of the contrarian streak in me that wants to defend him, because I feel like the criticism does go too far in the other direction. But why
don't you just kiss him? If you love him so much, why don't you just kiss him?
You beat me. No, I mean, sort of discussing it with you as I think helped us to understand, or helped me to understand what the issue is. It's not that he's a terrible wrestler. It's that for the opportunities that he's given, he should be further along than he is.
Right. Oh, but and make no mistake, he's a terrible wrestler too. No.
Plenty of people would agree with you. Let's talk about Suji then.
All right.
It was great in this match. Like, bags of charisma. I think the crowd connection's there. I've had issues with him in as much as how he chooses to fill a longer match in a meaningful way, and the same kind of stuff. And again, maybe this is just me, my selling critic eye. It's a little bit inconsistent with the knee stuff in this match. I think it did get very sloppy towards the end. And I love the match, don't get me wrong, but I thought it got sloppy towards the end, where there were a lot of things just started falling apart, but in a kind of cool and dramatic way that kind of made me think, these are two guys just emptying the tank and they've got nothing left, so they're barely able to stand, let alone execute their moves flawlessly. So I think that kind of helped the drama for me, rather than me going, oh, they've botched moves. But I really enjoyed the aura and the attitude that Tsuji had. He just looked really pissed off. He looked like he resented having to wrestle Shota Umino. It was like Shota Umino being in the ring with him and Red Shoes Uno being in the ring with him. He took as a personal, grievous insult and was just not having it, and was just showing maximum disrespect to Shota and treating him like a piece of shit, basically. And I even noted that he was talking a lot about Red Shoes after the match, and I don't know if you caught this, Damon, but when Red Shoes raised Tsuji's hand after the match, it was done in a very half-assed way. Sort of lifted his hand for like half a second, but just dropped his hand and just was out of the ring.
Slid out of the ring. He just went whoop right on out. Yep.
Yeah, I wonder what that's all about. Like, is that a storyline thing, or is that a bit of a shoot? I don't know, but Tsuji he's pissed off in this match, and I liked it. I thought it was great.
I thought he was really good. I mean, again, I know I mentioned it before, just like his presence. He felt like he was the guy. He felt like he was a star. He felt like he was a person that you could trust. I trust me. The things that let's put it this way. Let's see what he does in the next two matches if our predictions hold true. I think what you will see is a better version, an even better version, in the sense of, okay, he doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting. He did all the heavy lifting in that match against Shota. Like it felt like he was the ring general in that match. And not only like his aura, but like just like if it seemed to me like he was the guy that was, making sure things didn't fall apart even worse than they could have in that ring. So I got to tip my cap to him on that. Again, does size matter? I think so. I think the fact that he looks like a guy that's going to be a lot of trouble to get through, right? I think people are going to, not that they haven't already, but I think people will really start to recognize him in these next two matches. So this next match, he's got Evil, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if things go as we think, don't you see this match being a match of, okay, we're going back and forth in the beginning. Then we have that middle ground where all the hijinks occurs, right? All the, the ref bump, the fucking run in, he gets, somebody else saves him, all that shit. All the horse shit they brawl to the back, they walk and brawl to the back, and then we resume this match, give me another 5 to 7 minutes of pretty great shit. I think if they laid it out like that, I think people would be very happy and very pleased. And then you got a finals. A very, very, very bright spotlight. Very bright spotlight. I think these two, and again, he's in the ring with guys who know what the fuck they're doing. You might not like the way they do it, but they know what the fuck they're doing. I really think these two matches, dare I say, and knock on wood, I really feel like these two matches are going to be spotlight showcase matches for the guy. Like, these are the matches that when they have the video package, in 2 years or 3 years, they're going to reference these matches. I think I'm not going to go so far as to say it's a coming out party, because people who watch this product already know that we have a bit of a stud on our hands. I think the possibility of outside people who parachute in are going to be very happy and pleased when they see, oh, New Japan does have a guy that can be a future guy, and that's Yota Tsuji.
Yeah, I just feel they've taken so long with him and missed so many opportunities where him winning would have made him into a star. I felt like big Sanada in that Dominion match, like on his comeback match, or beating Naito at Sakura Genesis after he won New Japan Cup last year, or beating Zack in last year's G1 final. Like, again, I've said it before, but any one of those wins, everyone will be like, whoa, holy shit, this is the guy. This is the star of the company now. And they've done like the classic slow burn booking and the growth through suffering, Oh, he's lost this final, he's lost this type match, lost that type match, had a little run with white belt. Now he's ready to have the big moment. And I feel it's got to the point where I'm kind of expecting him to win the G1 at this point and thinking that's the absolute bare minimum. I think it will be a real misstep if he doesn't win it. And if he does win it, then I'm going to be like, yeah, it's about fucking time he's won it. So I feel like he is the only option at this point. Like, they have to go with him. They need to get behind one of their homegrown guys, as I've outlined when we talked about Takeshita. I would dispute with you on the efficacy of having Evil as the next hurdle, because I don't know, maybe this is just a disconnect with me and the domestic audience. I've had enough. I've had so much of the House of Torture stuff through this G1 tour that I know exactly what the match is going to look like, and it's exactly as you said, and he's going to have to overcome all the bullshit and the Togo and the garrote wire and be getting jumped before the bell and Don Farley and whoever the fuck comes out. There's going to be all of that, and he's going to have to fight them all off, where I would prefer if he just carried the same energy from today's match with Shota to the next match with Evil, where he's pissed off and just like beating the snot out of Evil, being like, you punk, you don't deserve to be in the same ring as me. And I know it's not going to play out like that, even though it should. So I don't know if Tsuji needs that extra little, that kind of booking shortcut that New Japan have, where like, oh, this guy's against House of Torture now, you have to cheer for him because you want to see him overcome the odds. Like, he doesn't need that. He's too cool for that. Like, I don't want to see Tsuji getting beaten down and having to overcome the odds. And I'm sick of it at this point. I wish he could go straight to the final, because I'd rather not watch him wrestling Evil for half an hour.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I'm in the same boat. And I might not have, not that I wasn't, but more of I kind of think it's going to go one way with what I described. But how great would it be? I mean, they would never do it, but 10 minutes, a 10-minute fucking beatdown. You know what I mean? Like, he just says, you know what? You're right. You don't deserve to be in my ring. I don't take the shortcuts you do. I don't have this fucking band of goons. Like, I just fucking dispose of you. Like, that would
I don't
be...
want him to look like an idiot. I don't want him to fall into all the same pitfalls that all the other House of Torture opponents say, oh, he didn't see this coming, like the same shit House of Torture in every match. I want him to come out at the start of the match with a fucking chair and beat the shit out of Dick Togo and Don Farley and just send them to the fucking hospital before the bell's even rung, and be like, right, I know what you're going to do, and I've dealt with it. Now let's fucking wrestle. Let's see what you've got. And I know it's not going to be that.
That'd be awesome, though. I mean, that would be. I feel like that would be a, and I don't want to say passing of the torch, but like almost a changing of the guard kind of thing. Of, yeah, okay, all you other boobs, what do you, don't watch fucking any of the shows? What are you jerking off in the back? What's going on? Like, they do it every fucking, yeah. And I'm not a boob, and I'm going to beat the shit out of them before they beat the shit out of me, and then I'm going to take care of this fucking jerk off, because I'm better, and I'm on the way to winning the fucking big boy belt. Fuck you. Yeah, I mean, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a pleasant change of pace? Oh boy. But that's what we're going to get, though. We're going to get decent match back and forth, probably a little bit of interference. Then they kick it into high gear with a lot of interference. And then, 5 to 7 minutes of what might be a great match. But yeah, he's got to get through all the fucking hurdles, all the fucking obstacles. And it is kind of like, all right, a little played out here, kids, right? Just have a fucking guy. Again, I hate to break the bad news, but Evil is not your future. He's not. And if he was your future, he's not now. He's not your future at all. He's a guy that's at a certain level in a certain spot. You have a guy who's your future. This is the time. And again, it's easier said than done because I'm sure if you presented it to the House of Torture people, they're well, what do you mean we're gonna look like idiots? Well, okay, eventually you have to. Yeah, that would be right. That to not have to have the same tired. Oh, he's got to fight through all the right. Just have him go out there and kick their fucking asses. That would be beautiful. That would be and different, But they'll never do that. That'll never happen, right? Tell me that'll never happen.
Yeah, it will never happen.
Yeah, never happen. Anyway, well, look,
it's going to be the same stuff. He'll start wrestling, and then after 2 minutes, Dick Togo will grab his ankle, and then he'll turn around and go, Dick Togo, did you just grab my ankle? That was very naughty of you. And then
hip from behind, outside the ring we go. Yeah, you're right. Look. I mean, what do we do? What do we do? We have a million ideas. They never do them. We're giving them another freebie. What they should do. It's okay if Evil looks like a fucking horse's ass. It is absolutely okay because guess what? In the grand scheme of things, that's what heels wind up doing. So, fingers crossed, Joe. Fingers crossed. But again, I think we're in for Yota Tsuji being, again, not a coming out party, but like it's. I think we have two opportunities here against people who know what the fuck's going on. So I have all the faith in the world that these matches will be good. If a little bit of samesies when it comes to the Evil stuff, but I think we're in for two really solid performances.
Interestingly, so they had the tag match today, which was Jackson, Oiwa, and Zach against Doki, Farley, and Evil, and that got really heated. And Zach was fired up backstage talking about Evil and calling him out. So I really don't feel that the G1 final is going to be Zach versus Evil. Like, I think that would be insane. But there was just enough there for me to think, is this a feud that they're going to resume at some point post G1? I don't know how that would work with Zach being champion, but there was just like a little bit too much to it for me to think, it's just a filler tag match. Like, they were going at it. It was very, very heated. But sticking with Tsuji for a second, now you've talked about how you think Takeshita should win the G1. Mm-hmm. Do you not see any problems with Tsuji failing again, like losing his second consecutive G1 final? Do you not think that really damages his credibility?
I do, but I don't think the company does. And the percentage of people that watch New Japan, do you think they have a little notebook like we do? And like, he's due for a win against this guy. He's lost twice in a row. Do you think there's a lot of that within, like, not only the people who make the decisions, but the people who watch the product?
Yeah, I mean, that's the classic ghetto booking trope, isn't it? Like,
it is.
Offering, you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until you finally get the thing that you want about 2 years after you really wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks. I don't think we can do that anymore. Because there's no stars in the company, and this is why. Like, I think it was fine to do that when you had tippy top guys like Prime Tanahashi and Okada and Naito and Kenny Omega and Ibushi and Jay White and Ospreay. Like, when you had all those guys, then you can maybe take your time a bit with the stories you're telling. But look at the attendances. Like, there's no ace, there's no stars in the company. I think they need to find a new playbook. Like, long story short, I think this is a must-win tournament for Tsuji. I think it would be disastrous if he doesn't win it.
I honestly feel like he's one guy that not Teflon. He's not like Tanahashi Teflon, but like, I just think about all the things that he's been able to accomplish with all the things that you talk about when it comes to the booking. The thing that, like, Joel, does it make 1,000% sense? Absolutely. Like, and I agree, and I wish they would. They haven't, and I can't imagine them pivoting now and just like going against the things that they do. Um, could they? Yes, the opportunity is there. Will they? I'm going to be honest with you. If history is any indicator, no, probably not. I don't know if they have a. Let's put it this way: nobody is going to complain if Suji wins. Like I think that would make perfect sense for him to win. Like you're putting your chips on your guy, as opposed to you're putting your chips on maybe a guy who has like immediate and future upside, but you don't know if he's yours or not. And again, I don't know the contract situation, the agreement, but the fact that we've been burnt so many fucking times that the fact that there is a little bit of doubt in that it's not 100% solid written in stone, we're probably a little gun shy making that call. So going with the safe hand of Yota, even though head to head, Joel, who's better, Takeshita or Yota Tsuji?
Takeshita.
Okay. Who would you say has the brighter future?
Suji. I just think him being a homegrown guy is worth something. Is worth a lot. I think it's absolutely critical that they make one of these homegrown guys into a star, or at least try to. And that's the thing. Like that's my whole philosophy. I'm always very forgiving of when I can recognize attempts by New Japan to elevate their homegrown guys and try to make them into stars. That's why I think I'm a bit more forgiving about the Shota Umino stuff, because whilst he's almost certainly not the guy, at least they're trying something with a homegrown talent. So again, I'm always going to be look more favourably on an honest attempt to make one of these guys into a star.
If there was no gray area with Takeshita, would you feel the same?
So if he was like totally
100% New Japan, I do, an occasional U.S. tour when it's fucking Best of the Super Juniors, but I am New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I suppose then you run with that, and I just think then it would have to be a matter of urgency to do something meaningful with Tsuji, because
he's feuding for the belt. He's that is your feud for the next 3 years.
Okay, so then is your story then he's got to spend the next 18 months getting back to that point so he can have another crack at Takeshita?
It doesn't even have to be 18 months. Doesn't have to be, but here's the thing: you could have. I don't. You could swap that belt back and forth. It could be a Dusty Flair kind of thing. I would have zero problem. Like seriously, if that is your main event, that's your feud, that's your rivalry, that is the thing that is taking you to the next 5 years, 7 years. Those two guys being at the top, going at it. Would you have a problem with that?
No, I suppose not. In theory, I just think it would need some work to wash the taint of AEW off.
Oh Takeshita. Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is all based off of two guys that are New Japan Pro Wrestling. And again, I don't want to beat this point to death, but there is the idea of him splitting time between all these various different promotions. That being said, again, I don't know what that looks like in 3 months, 5 months, 7 months, what have you. Who knows? If he's happy in the position that he's in, if he's happy with AEW at all, is he happy with New Japan at all? Who knows? But in a perfect scenario, I would have those two guys at the top of my shows for years because they're young, they're talented, they're the best things we've got, and you can throw Yuya in the mix. As he grows, like if you had those three, and again, I'm not saying that they are, so don't everybody freak out. But if that's your equivalent of Tanahashi, Okada, Nakamura, I don't think anyone's going to fucking complain. Anyone.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'll tell you what, Damon, I found something interesting here.
What's that?
This is tying back to something we talked about earlier. David Finlay's backstage comments. He says, War Dogs are not as strong as they need to be, and he admits it's his fault. He's paranoid that War Dogs might jump him because he's failing in big matches. He says change has to happen. Doesn't know what it is yet, but it has to happen. And he says he'll do anything it takes to keep War Dogs together and strong.
Ooh, okay. All right, well, there you go, Gabe. There's your Wrestle Kingdom match right there, I guess, right? Yeah. Who knows? What do we know his contract situation? I know there was a time when, when Daddy was talking, all the stuff about WWE and all that stuff, but that seems like a million years ago. I don't know. I want him to stay.
I get the impression that he's committed to New Japan, at least
I do
for
too.
the foreseeable future.
Right, but I would also say that comes with some type of new coat of paint. And I would love for him to break away from. But see, that's the problem with New Japan, though, is that you're somewhat boxed in with factions. Like if there were no factions, this would be incredibly easy to do because there would be a handful of factions. There'd be like two.
Right.
But the fact that we have so many,
he
it's
lays
like,
out wouldn't do with him.
Right. Like, where's it going to land?
Like, he's not really a good fit in any of the existing factions, is he?
I don't think so, but I mean, stranger things have happened when it comes to new factions. So who knows? But yeah, I just feel like if anything, Joel, like I would love to see him with a new coat of paint. And again, I mean, he's not coming out as fucking Brutus the Barber Beefcake, but I think something can be tweaked and honed to make him stand out a little bit more.
All right. I think the last thing I want to discuss with you is Forbidden Door.
Ooh, okay. That wacky show. Now, can I get? Are you going? I know Dan's going.
No,
you're not.
Couldn't pay me to go to that. No way.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not sitting through another MJF main event. They got me once. It's not happening again.
As part of my trip, I was floating on a boat right past the O2 Arena, and I was thinking of you because I thought maybe you were going, possibly Dan and everybody hopping out there and catching that show, and I was like, "Whew, boy!" And then, well, it's up to you. Do you want to talk about this lineup? I mean, listen, we're not an AEW show, but Lordy, I'll tell you what. If this show isn't proof of concept that Tony Khan is one of those people that we talk about when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, all the glory years. Oh, if things could just go back to 2018, everything would be so great. This is a 2018 New Japan Pro Wrestling show. So, go ahead, Joel. Why don't you talk a little bit about what we got going on here?
I was intrigued to see what he would do with Hiroshi Tanahashi's final match in the UK. And whilst I wasn't necessarily expecting or demanding a singles match, because God knows we've seen a lot of them. Not that I think it would be bad. I think, if anything, he's over-delivered in this G1. But the fact that the route they've decided to go with is a Yankoid imbecile piggy slop gimmick match is quite a choice. It's not what I would have done. And when I question that, the response I get is, "Oh, I'd rather see that than him limping his way through a bad singles match." It's like there is an in between those two things. Those are not the only configuration of wrestling matches. It's not either long drawn out singles match or 10-man gimmick plunder cage match.
Right.
Like, how about a tag match? How about maybe doing that Tanahashi and Omega versus the Young Bucks match that they were threatening to do at some point, or maybe even making it a 6-man match. Let's throw Will Ospreay in there and another guy. I don't know, but yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was just like, okay, I've made the right choice in not going to this because this is decidedly not for me.
You know what?
And
you mentioned that it was a lights out steel cage match. I didn't even see that in the graphic. I just saw the participants. So yeah, that adds another layer of oh boy.
Hey, how about Kota Ibushi having to team up with the president of New Japan?
I know. You would think there would be some type of conflict there. I mean, seriously, for those of you who do not know, it is a steel cage match. Hiroshi Tanahashi in his last UK match, is that correct?
Correct.
Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Will Ospreay, along with one thing that does not fit like the Sesame Street gimmick, Darby Allin, everyone. So we get to see him do some crazy shit. Going against who now? Oh yeah, Gabe Kidd, Death Riders.
Is he better now?
What's that?
Gabe Kidd, he's recovered from his injury that meant he couldn't participate in the G1.
I mean, he's gonna.
That's good
he's
news.
Gonna limp to the ringside, and he's going to stand there and let a lot of people do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? I don't think, but yeah, it does seem weird. Yeah, he's on.
He's not beating the allegations, is he?
No, he's not. No, he's not. Young Bucks, Moxley, all that. Okay, so yeah, that is 2018-19 going all in on that. All right. But the only other match that I think is somewhat interesting, two. This has the potential to be pretty decent. Is Okada versus Swerve, right?
A funny tweet from Cameron at unmasked_Tara. A picture of Gabe Kidd on the microphone. And it says, fuck the G1, fuck showing up to prior booking obligations, AEW slop Ichiban.
Yeah, listen, he gets a payday. Well, probably from what we understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Joel. A lot of these guys are just getting the normal payoff, not the enhanced payoff. But that's all right. No, listen.
Look, I know he's but making an appearance in a 10-man gimmick match is not the same as doing the GP grind. I get it. I'm having a bit of fun with it. I'm not mad. Don't tell the newspapers that I was mad. Yeah, I like Okada Swerve. That's good. Fletcher and Hiromu, that's unusual.
That should be good.
I think that would be fun. But I mean, in terms of sort of conceptually having New Japan and AEW dream matches, like that's dead, right? That's gone. Tony signed all the New Japan wrestlers that he cares about. Not that I think it particularly the concept being dead matters to him or AEW, because you could bill this show as AEW pigs in shit London and it would still do the same number. The attraction is AEW. The New Japan's not the attraction. It's not a hot product. I'm like, we know this. We're under absolutely no illusions. So I'm not, foaming at the mouth being like, why aren't they booking Yohei Oiwa for this Forbidden Door? I don't care. It's an AEW show. I don't give a shit. It's of absolutely no consequence to me. I don't think it is, canonically New Japan. I'll cover it, but I'm going to cover it on the Patreon because it's not New Japan. So that's my caveat, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of fun things to say about it. But I don't think it's something to get upset about. I mean, I would have a casual interest if they could book like a genuine AEW New Japan crossover show, if they could sort the politics out and do genuinely interesting matches and have guys like Desperado and Yota Tsuji and David Finlay and then people like that, Yuya Uemura positioned against the top guys in AEW, but that's never going to happen because Tony's not interested in that and the AEW fans are probably not interested in that either. So it is what it is at this point, and I don't have the energy or the emotional investment to get annoyed or upset about it. It's like, why would I get bothered about what's going on in AEW? It's of no interest to me. And again, the same with the the 4-way qualification match to see who faces Zack. Like, who could possibly care? Like, I get the arguments like, oh, this is disrespectful to the IWGP by having a bunch of nobodies contending for it. Like, who cares? It's an AEW show. Just let them get on with it.
Really
I'm sure Zack versus Nigel McGuinness will be really cool, and the British fans will love that. So I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of laughable to call this a New Japan show or have their logo next to AEW's. I mean, Hiroshi Tanahashi is retiring, and even though he's wrestled more than a lot of other people this year. All right, so you got 1, you got Gabe Kidd 2, Hiromu 3, 3, right?
Zack.
So I think it's kind of silly to have it even like New Japan be mentioned at this point. That's just it's again, if you love the 2017, 2018, 2000, bring back those memories, scratch that nostalgia itch. But I think it's a little bit of a stretch for the New Japan involvement, but what are you going to do? Have fun. You bought a ticket. You knew what you're getting into. I say let you crash.
Crash. That's it. I'm stopping. That's
stopping right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Andrew Rich, and if you're like me, you look at the state of modern wrestling discourse and think, wow, what a cesspool. That's why I'm here to tell you about Music of the Mat Remix. That's right, your favorite wrestling music podcast is back with a new format, where I bring on a guest and we play songs related to wrestling-themed topics. It could be a wrestling reference, a wrestling concept, a wrestling pun, things of that nature. Now you might be saying, Andrew, that is a very, very tenuous connection to pro wrestling on a wrestling podcast network. Is this just an excuse to hang out with your friends and talk about music and ignore the rest of the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yes, it is. So listen to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice.
Hey kids, Jeff Hawkins from Shake Them Ropes here, and for almost 15 years we have been part of Voices of Wrestling. Myself and Chris Novembrino give a review of that week's news, the lazy river of wrestling criticism of that week's WWE and AEW, and then Vader Club, where we watch something from one of our past, or something we may have missed. Smart, snarky, and sometimes serious, but not always. That's us, and if that's your vibe, we'd love to have you listen to Shake Them Ropes every week on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're crushing morning miles or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.